All right, I'm back. I'm sorry about that. Once again, I got a phone call from the production manager here at the radio station, and then there was a package that the UPS guy just dropped off. So I apologize for that. Normally, I don't do things like that, but that was really important. And since I'm here, very important for me to do that. So wipe off my lens real quick. All right. Giving people a few minutes to come back in before I start talking again. Thank you all very much. Like I said, sorry for the last live that I did. Had a little technical difficulties. Like as soon as I left and came back, well, Jerry. What happened was I went to go get a package, but I got a phone call. Okay, I'm doing this on my phone right now. So sometimes like it'll skip because somebody calls me on the phone. Had to go get a package from up front. So let's backtrack a little bit. Talk a little bit about what was I talking about? I think I was talking about Michael Thomas and also talking about how the media tries to spin things because it's the truth, folks. The media tries to spin things to try to make it, make people believe there's a certain narrative. There's these certain difficulties that these players face, but then that's something that Michael Thomas is going to continue to deal with until he overcomes some level of adversity. I don't make the rules. I don't make the rules, man. I'm just telling y'all what it is. They're going to forever say that. But I will say this about Michael Thomas, and I think that we in the Who Dat Nation need to appreciate this. We need to appreciate this, folks, because there was a time where Saints players outside of Drew Brees didn't even get any type of respect. The fact that we're actually having a conversation about Michael Thomas being an elite wide receiver in the National Football League speaks volumes. Okay, because we all know that they try everything within their power to not give any type of credibility or any type of props to small market teams. They don't really like talking about small market teams, no matter how successful they are. The only reason why the media now is talking about the NFC South is because of Tom Brady. And it's because for 20 years, Tom Brady spent most of his time in a big media market in the Boston area where, you have some of the creme de la creme of reporters. I mean, we all know about the Boston Globe. So we all know they don't like giving respect or any type of acknowledgement to small market teams. Somebody asks, is Houston a small market team? No, they're not. Okay, the Houston area is not a small market team. Houston or anywhere in the state of Texas, for the exception of San Antonio, people give a lot of respect to. So when it comes to small markets, they don't like to give respect to those guys. They don't like to let those guys like bombard or fill the airwaves. They rather talk about the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Giants, or some of these other teams that have big markets and what they consider big fan bases. So the fact that we're actually talking about Michael Thomas being an elite wide receiver versus a guy, who is now in Arizona, I mean, it speaks volumes, man. It also speaks to the greatness of Michael Thomas because, like I said at the beginning of the whole debate or the conversation, Michael Thomas was given absolutely nothing. Like nobody expected this guy to really emerge to be what he is. And for him to be on an elite level, for him to be mentioned as an elite wide receiver, he basically did this all on his own through hard work, dedication, and consistency. So I'm all for it, man. So I got a lot of respect for Michael Thomas, and I'm glad because we would not be having this conversation years ago. Just think about how many productive years Marcus Colston had. So many productive years, over 750 catches all time, and had never made the Pro Bowl, ever. And we all know that Marcus Colston put up some really good record-breaking numbers in his rookie season and was always consistent in a Saints uniform, but yet never got the respect that he deserves as a top 100 player among his peers or even a Pro Bowl ballot by, the people that do it. So That's the way I feel. So I'm glad. I'm glad that Michael Thomas is bringing credibility to the New Orleans Saints organization. What do you think about people on the internet calling Michael Thomas a crybaby? I think that's a level of jealousy, Mike. I just hate to say it like this, but it's just true. People hate people that are great. I don't know why. Like if a person is great at their craft or they have great skills to do something and a lot of people gravitate to them, they just automatically just become hated. And I think the reason why people call him that is because they try to get under his skin, call him a crybaby because one, they want to be in his position, and two, they get mad because their team probably play against him and none of their players can stop him. That's the only way I see it. Look, the man is passionate about the game. I mean, there's no mistake about that. Dude he don't want to shake hands. He don't want to give dap after games. We've seen this on several occasions. This guy is a fierce competitor. He goes out there and he performs at a high level week after week. And I really don't believe that he really be caring that much about what people think about him. I mean, it's not stopping his production. People have been talking about Michael Thomas since the Minnesota Vikings game the first time around. But that didn't stop him. That didn't stop him from going out there and playing at a high level. So the way I see it, let him talk. Don't matter to me though. I mean, if he was allowing this stuff to happen, it affected his production, then I would have a problem. But he just get better and better every year. TJ, that Bengals cornerback, Daquez Denard, is rated the best slot corner in the league. I think we should go after him. Daquez Denard, who I like a lot, and I got a lot of respect for. I would say that would be a good idea, but I would rather a guy that can be, can be versatile. I need a guy on the inside and the outside because people are going to get hurt in the secondary. Sorry. Facts. People are going to get hurt. People are going to get hurt. People are going to miss games. People are going to have hamstring pulls and ankles and knees, and that's just going to happen. The problem is when those guys get hurt, the drop-off that we have at that position is like guys cannot afford to get hurt. Guys cannot afford to get nicked up. I don't just want a guy, according to Pro Football Focus, he good at this position right here in the slot, in the nickel. But if you play him on the outside, he can't do anything. I'm not a fan of that, okay? Daquez Denard, do I feel like if he was to come to the Saints to be a primary corner in the nickel, would he be really good? Absolutely. But I am smart enough to know that people are going to get hurt. We see this every single year. We see this with Patrick Robinson. We've seen this with Marcus Williams. We've seen this with Von Bell. We see this with Lattimore. Guys get hurt. And we do not want to have the same issues. I am so frustrated, Who Dat Nation. I am sorry. I am so frustrated watching the Saints ad nauseum, making my stomach hurt and my head hurt at the same time, watching them give up big plays at big time parts of the game in the fourth quarter late because they got guys in the secondary that can only be one-dimensional. I want one-dimensional players to exit stage left. If you cannot perform your job, if you cannot go to the inside or the outside, if you're a better tackler on the inside than you are on the outside, if you don't have good recovery speed, if you can't catch up to the corner, if you're not physical enough, I do not want to see you in the game at crucial moments. It is time, folks. It is time for us to stop sugarcoating. It is time for us to stop lollygagging and pussyfooting about the obvious. The Saints have an issue when it comes to crucial parts of the game, and it's because people cannot be versatile. You need depth. You need depth at the secondary. That is a fact. The reason why teams that win Super Bowls, because they have great rotation. They have good rotation. They have guys that can play on the inside and the outside. Now, I'm going to say this. If the Saints, I guarantee you, I'll just put it like this. If the Eagles had the Saints secondary. Okay, if they was getting nicked up like that, if the Saints secondary was getting nicked up like that, there was no way in hell that the Saints would have made the playoffs like the Eagles. They would have not made the playoffs like the Eagles. The Eagles, one thing you can say about them, they had guys that were versatile. They had guys that can put on the inside and the outside. Now, were these guys getting roasted and toasted every now and then? Hell yeah, they were. They were getting roasted. They were getting toasted. But the thing about it is, the guys were still physical. They had amnesia. They did not care about getting beat. They just were focused on doing their job. And if they were to get lined up in the nickel or get lined up on the outside, they did the best job they possibly can. And they mustered enough. They mustered enough up to make the postseason. If that was the Saints, they would not make the postseason. And that is the issue that we have every single year, folks. Be real. Be honest with yourself. Let's stop lying. Let's stop playing around. Let's stop acting like everything is good. Oh, we got Lattimore. Oh, we got Jenkins. We good. Guys get hurt. Lattimore gets hurt every single year. Marcus Williams misses a few games. Von Bell misses games, even though he's not with us. He's in Cincinnati now. Now you have Malcolm Jenkins, who hasn't missed a game in 6 years. That's good, okay? Patrick Robinson has missed so many games. I think we all can agree that this man is stealing money from the city of New Orleans. The fact is, the Saints need depth at that position, and they need guys that are versatile. This has been the Saints' problem for years. They have guys that are role-playing guys. They have guys that are skill guys. And it's cool to have skill guys. Okay, it's cool to have those type of guys that fill in that, okay, if we're running a NASCAR package and rushing after the quarterback, that we have these guys in that's hybrids. Cool, no problem with that. Teams have that. But when you're dealing with skilled players as your starters, that's where the problem starts. And until the Saints realize that and recognize that and realize that you cannot have one-dimensional players, we're going to be continuously having the same issues over and over and over and over again. And we're playing ourselves and we're in denial if we think that the Saints are going to get over the hump watching PJ Williams get smoked, roasted, and toasted by tight ends every single game when it matters. We playing ourselves. So what cornerback would you look at right now? The cornerback I would look at right now, to be honest with you, like I said at the beginning, it'll probably be Logan Ryan, but only on a 1-year deal. Okay, I feel like the draft next year, there's a plethora of cornerbacks that can come in. There's a plethora of cornerbacks that you can get on rookie deals. Allow Logan Ryan, allow him to play a year, which I don't feel like he'll have a problem with. And especially like if you're going to a Super Bowl contending team, you get him for a year. If he talking a whole bunch, if he puts up a big season, if he puts up big numbers and you can't afford him, then allow him to test the market. In comes another young, vibrant, ready, and able cornerback that you got on a rookie deal that you don't have to pay an arm, a leg, 2 backs, and a hip to get. So Logan Ryan would be my first pick. Logan Ryan would be my first pick because how versatile he is. And I don't want to just blurt out different players because, I didn't really look at the list and see who was out there, so I'm not going to even play that game. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even going to act like I just know all the cornerbacks that's on free agency. I have a better answer for you probably next time who I would have next and 3rd and 4th and 5th, but Logan, as far as him and his versatility, I love it, okay? No timeout for all these guys that are just skilled guys and only can play in one particular area. Timeout for that. Timeout. Logan wants 10 mil. Well, Logan wants 10 mil. The Saints still can give it to him. They can kind of restructure some players' deals to give him a 1-year deal. So that won't be a problem. That's not a problem, Keenorth. What's up, TJ? Good to see you live, man. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you for being a part of the live. Ernest, should we sign Logan Ryan? Like I said, on a 1-year deal. Jared Poole says, preach, TJ. Hey, man, I just get kind of wrapped up, man, because we have people out here who are in denial. I love all the members of the Who Dat Nation, but some of us is are in denial. We are in denial when it comes to the New Orleans Saints, and I just don't understand the mindset of individuals that feel like, oh, just because I criticize the Saints, like, come on, man. People criticize me all the time. Y'all see that down low in the, what I'm saying, in the chat. Y'all see it. But I don't care, you know what I'm saying? I'm just giving my opinion. I'm just stating my claim, okay? But that's just the way that it is. You can be in denial all you want to, and you can be like, well, it's better than we had 10 years ago, or it was better than we had 15 years ago. Or who else gonna come in and win games like Sean Payton? Who else gonna throw the ball like Drew Brees? Be in denial all you want to. And learn and not learn about how to differentiate criticism, you know what I'm saying, and love. Like, you can love somebody and criticize them. Case in point, my fiance loves me. I believe she does, and I love her. But we are critical towards each other when things are not, in line. We check each other. Do I feel like she loves me any less? No. Does she feel like I love her any less? No. You know what I'm saying? The love is still there. We just want to see this team succeed. Does that mean that I'm right? No. I just give my opinion. Does that mean you're right? No. You're just giving your opinion. But we only can go by what we see. And what we actually see, and I think we all can agree, is the Saints have been laying eggs for the last 3 years. And I think we all can agree that we are tired of it. We are tired of watching a really good team for the last 2 years go 13-3, and it generates to absolutely nothing. Now, we can make an argument about the NFC Championship game and the Saints should have been in the Super Bowl. Okay, I'm for you. I'm all for that. But last year, no, sir. Not a fan of it. Let's go back a little bit. TJ, I would get Aqib Talib over Clowney. We deep at the pass rush, and I think we need more experience to the backfield. He is 34, but can still produce and cheaper. Your thoughts on that? That's a good point right there. I think Aqib Talib at 34 years old still has something to offer. I'm not too concerned about his issues off the field. It seems like he's in a better headspace, and I feel like he can also bring a little bit of dog to the Saints organization. But what really kind of bothers me is his alpha male domineering type attitude that can kind of clash with Sean Payton and his philosophies, even though Sean Payton, no, I can't even say that. No, I'm not even going to pretend. Sean Payton does not do well with guys that are alpha male type guys. He likes worker ant type guys. And I feel like Aqib Talib and his personality and the way that he plays and the way that he marches to the beat of his own drum may not be a good combination to Sean Payton. We all know that Sean Payton does not like anybody going against him. We all know that Sean Payton will throw a guy off a team like that. If they have a problem with his offense, if they have an issue with his defense, the way that he's running the defense, we all know that he will get them up out of there quicker. Case in point, Akeem Hicks and Brandon Cooks. So even though Aqib Talib would be a good answer at the cornerback position, I don't see that happening. TJ, hold on. They rated the Saints fans third in the NFL. That don't mean anything, that don't mean. I mean, yeah, you know what I'm saying. We got great fans. We got great fans. I never said that the Saints fan base aren't loyal. You got to be loyal for these last 3 years. You definitely got to be loyal. Like, it was one thing when they sucked. Like, you were just happy they won. But the fact that they're good and they lose these games, my goodness. So we all know that the Saints got one of the best fan bases in the league. There's no doubt about it. But I don't care about that. I want to see these guys get over that hump. That's true but Marcus Davenport and Sheldon Rankins are high injury guys. Clowney would be a good add to the D-line. Thomas, I love you, my friend, but I need you to really pay attention to what you're saying. I'm going to read that again, Thomas. I'm going to read it again. And I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I really need you to understand what you're saying here. You said that's true, but Marcus Davenport and Sheldon Rankins are high injury guys. Clowney would be a good add to that D-line. There's an issue with that, Thomas. Number one, you're comparing two guys that you are saying that is injury prone to a guy that's injury prone. I mean, honestly, man, Jadeveon Clowney, the reason why he has not been snatched up is for the same reasons you are saying that Sheldon Rankins and Marcus Davenport need Clowney on the Saints team. That, I mean, honestly, he has a history of being injured just like them. So, just like you're taking a gamble by rolling with these two guys, you're taking that same exact gamble by signing Jadeveon Clowney, because there's a strong possibility, like Rankins, like Davenport, that he is going to miss a few games in a season. So, Thomas, I understand what you're saying. You think that from a depth standpoint, I know where you're coming from, but really pay attention to that. Really pay attention to how you're trying to analyze the history of Davenport and Rankins, and also apply that to Clowney. Because honestly, man, you're comparing an apple to an apple right now. And I get it. I get it. Great production, high motor, great contributor. I believe all that. But you're comparing an apple to an apple. Screw them. Saints fan base ranked first. In my opinion, they are, Jerry. I heard the Cardinals haven't talked to Patrick Peterson at all about an extension. Might need to target him. The Saints tried to target him before, but the Cardinals were just asking for way too much. And the Cardinals aren't one of those teams that just like to get rid of guys like that. They're a very loyal fan base. I mean, if Larry Fitzgerald don't teach you anything, I don't know what will. So I don't know if they'll be able to pick him up. We know a couple of years ago the Saints tried to go after Patrick Peterson, and they ended up getting Eli Apple instead. But you know, who knows, man? That would be a good pickup, though. Super Bowl or bust. Breeze ain't 30 anymore. Yeah, Bobby, that is true. It is Super Bowl or bust. It's been Super Bowl or bust for the last 3 years, though. You're right, but it would give all three of them more rest time. Thomas, I agree with that, but like I said, I'm not. Thomas, you're killing me right now. You're making some very interesting points, real talk. But I don't know, man. Like, I just feel like, man, to get a guy like that in there, that's a heck of a gamble too. Albert Haynesworth proved never break the bank on a D lineman. Now, look, I'm not gonna go out here and disrespect every D lineman that come through on a big contract. Now, I know that you have people like Haynesworth and Sue, in my opinion, who leave a bad taste in your mouth and don't give you that bang for the buck. But I will say this. There are still some guys out there that get signed contracts and stuff like that. And these guys play, really, really hard for the team that they actually go to. I can think about DeMarcus Ware leaving the Dallas Cowboys and going to the Denver Broncos. I can think about, John Abraham, for a long time for the Atlanta Falcons. He was out there putting up production. So it's not like guys don't go to other teams and they try to produce and they try to put up, big numbers. Think about Calais Campbell going from Arizona to Jacksonville. He was the anchor on that defensive line. So don't let a few bad apples spoil the whole bunch. You still can get guys and you can sign them to big contracts and big deals, and these guys can come in and contribute. Because some guys have something I like to call pride. You have guys out there that got something I like to call want to. You know what I'm saying? They want to be great. They want to be Hall of Famers. They want to be the standard. So don't let a few bad apples like a Haynesworth, like a Sue, like some of these guys that take days off. Don't allow those guys to leave a bad taste in your mouth and say, man, that's a bad idea to try to draft this guy. He's not going to do, well, not draft, but sign this guy in free agency, and they're not going to do anything. You cannot compare every single person to a couple bad apples. You shouldn't do that. It don't have to be Clowney, but we need to be on point with this defense this season. If we can get Griffin, that would help. Yeah, Everson Griffin, I feel like would be a better pick in my opinion than Jadeveon Clowney. Jadeveon Clowney, one thing he has on his side, I said this before in a video, is the youth. The youth is on his side. Also, the fact that he's not really going through emotional issues like Everson Griffin. I'm a big advocate for people that deal with anxiety and depression, being a guy that actually suffered from that same particular illness, or I don't like to call it an illness, but same type of, issues. I relate to Everson Griffin, so I would like to see him in a better headspace, man. If the Saints got the right resources for him, if they have guys that can be on standby, then I'm all for it. But also Jadeveon Clowney, he has youth on his side. He has, that. I mean, he hasn't even reached his prime yet. So I think he has that on his side. But Everson Griffin can play on my team any day. He's a smart football player. He's a tough football player. He's a guy that can be a disruptor. And I feel like right now at this level of his career, he would want more, and he will be more hungry for a championship than Jadeveon Clowney is, because the way Jadeveon Clowney is operating and moving around and shaking around, it just shows me like he's trying to sell himself to the highest. Well, he's not trying to sell himself to the highest bidder, but it's all about his own personal gain. Okay, it's about personal gain at the end of the day, folks. You want to win championships. You want to be mentioned among the greats, but at the same time, you want to come in and you want to be a team player first. And you also want to be a cog on the wheel of success, not just being a one-man show, okay? You can't be Devin Miles on drumline, you know what I'm saying? Like, when Nick Cannon, Devin Miles, he thought that he was the is-all and the be-all on the drumline, and there wasn't all the rest of them people out there that was playing and making the band sound good. He thought it was just him and his snare drum. Can't just be you and your snare drum in a game of life, okay? There are a lot of people that are helping you to get to the successful places that you're trying to get to or that you're at, and you should never forget that. And honestly, man, like I said, there's so many things that go into place for teams to be successful, and it's not just one guy. And I'm starting to get those type of vibes out of Jadeveon Clowney and the way that his representation is moving. And, it's raising some eyebrows, but, I still think he can play on the team. I know they were big misses in the wild card game. What's more important for us right now, to get defense right or the offense? I would say the defense. It's always the defense, Andrew. Defense wins championships. I know that's an old cliche. It goes back as far as, vaudeville, you know what I'm saying? But it goes way back in the day, folks. But it's true, man. Defense wins championships. If you don't have a level of defense, you're not an opportunistic defense. If you're not stopping anybody, you're not going anywhere, okay? You're going to win a couple games. You're going to generate excitement. You're going to put behinds in seats. You're going to put money in concession because people are going to watch you. You're also going to, get notoriety because you're putting up big numbers. But defense wins championships. And if you don't have a defense, you're not winning nothing. I just want our New Orleans Saints to become more of an impact on the running game. And I hope so we can do it. Greg, I agree with that. We need to put more emphasis on the running game. The running game has been the Achilles heel of the Saints for a very long time. And I'm not trying to buy the crap that they be trying to sell us in these interviews, or these phone interviews after these games. And we ran the ball this many times. We ran the ball this many times. No. We all know that the Saints do not run the ball consistently. They want to throw the ball all over the place. Rather you say it's Sean Payton's, lack of patience, the fact that he just wants to be the center and be the mad genius that everybody wants him to be, and he wants to live up to that mystique of being an offensive-minded coach, whatever. Look, you have skins on the wall. There's nothing Sean Payton can do that will take away from him being considered an offensive-minded coach. The Saints have to run the football. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We are wasting our time if we believe that the Saints are going to the Super Bowl if they get a number 2 wide receiver and they don't run the football. Or they add another guy like Adam Trotman that can be another Travis Kelce or some of these other great tight ends in the league. You're tripping, okay? If you are not running a football, you are not going anywhere, okay? If you're on Poydras Street by the Superdome, you couldn't get to the Fox 8 building. I just put it like that. And people in New Orleans know what I'm talking about, okay? Because the Fox 8 building is right next to the Superdome on Poydras Street, all right? That's about as far as you're going to go is probably through Championship Square out the main entrance when you walk in, okay? That's about as far as you're going to go. You're not going anywhere if you do not run the football. I mean, don't take my word for it. Just look at some of these other teams in the past. I'm going to take one more, and then we're going to get up out of here. This is from my boy Bobby. He says, if Clowney wanted the most dollars, he would have signed with Cleveland. I agree with that. I had to backtrack on what I said. Jadeveon Clowney wants the best opportunity to win a ring. Saints could be there for them. Wait and see. I agree with you on that one, Bobby. That's why I had to retract what I said about the Cleveland Browns, because I was like, if it wasn't about money. But I do get this vibe, man, that he wants it to be about him. Look, I get it, okay? The NBA has spoiled some of these athletes to a point where they want to play where they want to play, okay? There would, and I do give them a little level of respect for not taking a bait that is in Cleveland, even though they got about $30+ million in cap space. I get it. But I still get these vibes from this guy that he is a me guy. And this doesn't just stem from him playing in the National Football League. This stems from him playing at the University of South Carolina and him mailing it in his final season. Now I understand you're going to be the first pick overall. People were singing your praises. You didn't want to get injured. You didn't want to cause yourself a step back. I get it. But there's a such thing called pride. There's a such thing as heart. And I didn't see much of it. And honestly, I don't feel like heart is something that you can turn on and off like a light switch. It's something that you're born with. It's something that stays with you. It's something that stays ignited in you every single day of your life. And it is impossible for anybody to extinguish that. And for the fact that I'm looking at guys that fire can be extinguished, rather it be through a contract negotiation, rather it be plays on the field, rather it be production of your number being called on the field, I always question that. And that's one of the reasons why I'm saying this about Clowney. Now, I'm not saying that he doesn't want to go to a team that wants to be a championship contender. I agree with that to a certain extent. But I do question his heart. And when you're questioning a guy's heart, man, that is something that needs to be addressed very seriously. But I want to say thank you all for your questions. And if I didn't answer your questions, you can always submit them to me on the State of the Saints Podcast Facebook page, facebook.com. Search The State of the Saints Podcast. And also State of the Saints at gmail.com. And also, man, I'm trying to build my Twitter following. So if you all are on Twitter, I encourage you all to please follow me on Twitter. It's at State of Saints. At State of Saints. Okay, that's what it is. Check your boy out. Please, please follow me on Twitter if you can. Okay, I really do appreciate that. Like I said, I'm trying to move on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Trying to get that information out there, and also want to wish Jared Poor a happy birthday. I want to say, man, thank you so much. Jared been following me and also supporting the channel for so many, man, about a year plus. And he was also one of the first people to get a State of the Saints Podcast t-shirt in a contest. And, I just thank him for his support, man. I love you, brothers, man, and continue, continue to be positive and optimistic about, I never see Jerry going at anybody except for Falcon fans. And he's always super optimistic, man, super optimistic, even when things look like they bleakest. Jared Poor is the guy that calms me down when I see him in check. When I'm all the way up here. Jerry like say something and all of a sudden like he'll bring the mood down. So I appreciate Jerry for that, man. Thank you, brother. Um, Before I go, man, I'm just going to say this, and just going to go ahead and get up out of here. I want to talk about Malcolm Jenkins and also former players like Reggie Bush. They were actually showing up at some of these protests over the weekend. These protests about the tragic death of George Floyd at the hands of the Minneapolis Police Department. Now, I understand that when anytime you're talking about situations like this, you roll into politics. I try to stay away from politics because in this world today, politics has become a great divided type of topic because, there's no gray area. Usually be back in the day if you're a Republican or a Democrat, you know what I'm saying? Like you can kind of straddle and people didn't give you a hard time about it, but there's no gray area. But I do want to say this, man. These guys going out here, multimillionaires, putting themselves on the front line in the name of what they feel like is, wanting equality and rights for, African Americans and want to speak out against police brutality. That is something very admirable. Despite how you feel about these protests, despite if you feel like, what I'm saying, these people are just agitators or you're one of those people that fall into that category and say, there's more percentage of these many people getting beaten, all that kind of stuff at the hands of police or getting attacked, whatever. All I know is as an African American man, there are some issues that we face, okay? There are some issues that we face. Now, do I feel like these guys that are out there riding in the streets and breaking up and tearing up their own communities are doing the right things? Hells to the none. That's not going to solve anything, and it's only going to make situations worse. But I'll be lying to you if I'm sitting up here and telling you I don't understand why this is happening. People are tired. People are tired of all these situations happening, and there's only so many times that you can poke the bear. I mean, honestly, even the nerd in school will stand up to the bully every now and then. And even though that nerd or that guy that people consider a geek might get beat up by the bully, he still stood up for himself, and he's going to look in the mirror with his black eye and say, I accomplished something today. So for all those people out there that are saying things like, oh man, that's a waste of time, or these people are just trying to riot, or y'all not going to accomplish anything, look around the country, okay? There are people out there that are really telling the narrative, that are really trying to explain the issues, why these protests are going on. And me as an African American and a person that wants change in our community, I'm not going to stand around and just say that it's just these people out here that are just, these rioters, because there are people out there that are peaceful protesting. I seen it out here in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, where I stay. There wasn't any type of issues. There wasn't anybody, no riots or anything like that. There wasn't any looting. So these stories need to be publicized as well. You see police and police department individuals that are taking knees with protesters. You see them hugging and holding hands and offering prayer. So I want these stories to be televised as well. How are we going to create change? I wish I had the answers for you. I wish I had these solutions. I don't. But I do know this, man. We want everybody to communicate. Okay, the way that I get on here for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, how long I've been on here, and I give you all information about the Saints. Some things you already know, some of the things you may not know. But you leave the conversation probably more informed and feeling better about your team. That's the way that I feel. Okay, no matter what side of the fence that you stand on, what is going to get us through these situations is communication. Not sitting in behind a computer, spilling racist rhetoric, no matter if you're black or white. Okay, what is going to get us through these situations is communication. And if you don't have the balls enough to have conversations, if you don't have the balls enough to actually interact with people outside of your race and not allowing the media to give you the narrative, for you to create your own narrative, for you to do your own research and look at the individuals that you know that are outside your culture, the people that are trying to create change in a positive way. If you're not doing that, then you're a part of the problem. But this has been the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you very much. Once again, subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com, search The State of the Saints podcast, facebook.com, search The State of the Saints podcast, and thank you all very much, and much love to each and every one of you. Till next time, all I got to say is, who dat?